Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I was like, I'm not redoing this again. So, Sammy knocked out the guard and calls. Well, here's the thing. First, she tries to, she gets out one door. She tries to get out the other door, but it's locked. So she goes back and she gets the key from the guard that's still knocked out, and she's trying all these different keys, and apparently she gets the right one, but it breaks on her. So now she's like, oh, what am I gonna do now? I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that key break, I was like, yo, you gotta be kidding me. So she goes back, she gets the phone, she calls Lucas, she calls Allie. She lets Allie know everything that's been going on as far as her being gone, her being captured and everything like that. Talks to Lucas. And Lucas, tells her, why don't you look in the phone and see if you can get like a map or anything like that, try to send it, or whatever. Anyway, she's able to actually send her location to Lucas. So, now we're on that path. So I'm not gonna lie, pretty interesting. I actually did really enjoy that part. So Ava comes over to Gwen's place, and she's like, all right, listen, we gotta put our heads together, try to come up with a plan. I don't know what plan we're gonna come up with, but we gotta do something. So they talk about their skill set and stuff like that. And at this point, Ava's like, listen, we're just gonna think of something on the fly. Because they couldn't really come up with anything. Time was running out. And both of their lives are going to be blown apart as far as the men that they love was going to be gone just like that. So they walk up to the guards, and pretty much Ava just goes full mobster. She's like, listen. Because at first, the guards don't really, the prison guards or whatever, they don't really take her seriously. They're like, yeah, you used to be powerful. You've been out the game for a while. Like, why should we be afraid of you? And then Ava threatens their family. And at that point, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of stood there, was like, she did most of the talking. I mean, yeah, she was like, oh, she's called the nanny, whatever, and I give her orders and stuff like that. But I'm like, in reality, you really didn't need Gwen. You could have kind of did this by yourself. But, Gwen is there because Gwen also got secrets that she doesn't want Kristen to spill. So, they able to convince, Ava's able to pretty much kind of put enough fear in them to make them do what she says. Meanwhile, Xander talks to Susan. And the thing is, he talks to Susan and says, oh yeah, you talked to me before, last summer and stuff like that, or, a while ago. And Susan's like, yeah, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. I know it sounded like me, but that wasn't me. That was Kristen. So at this point, Xander goes to the jail to, goes to the, precinct or whatever to talk to Kristen. At this point, Kristen's already talking to Lonnie. Pretty much Lonnie unloads on her about how she's feeling. She's conflicted with her dad, and I don't know, maybe it was just today, but the point is, I don't know, part of me was like, alright, like, we get it, you're confused, and she's like, she's been ducking his calls and stuff like that. I'm like, well, how do you think he feels? Like, I get it, your life is turned upside down, but this isn't just about you. Like, yeah, you lost a father, and you lost a mother, but he also lost a daughter, and I get that she is talking about her feelings and that she's very conflicted and this, that, and the third. I'm like, you ducking him. And I don't exactly remember what she said, the reason why, but it was like, you're not doing him any favors either by, ducking his calls and not trying to meet up with him or anything. Now, I gotta sit there and say, I actually do really like, the friendship between Lonnie and Kristen to an extent. Um, because it does show that Kristen does have somewhat of a humanity. Like, she does have somewhat of a soul. You know, I mean, Ava did her a favor, and she's already sent there blackmailing her to get out of jail. Otherwise, she'll sit there and practically throw her under the bus. And Gwen, I mean, let's be honest, Kristen doesn't really have a lot of use for her. Like, she doesn't like her as far as, like, what she did to Chad and everything like that. So, she has no problem screwing her over. But Ava actually did her a solid, and that's pretty much the thing that she... That's pretty much the thanks that she gets. But it is nice to sit there and see that she does have somewhat of a soul. You know, she could be kind and even a good friend to someone. You know. And she's not that way with a lot of people. Brady was one. Brady can pretty much go to hell. Pretty much at this point, the only people that are in her good graces is Rachel and Lonnie. That is it. But it's nice to see their friendship, though. When Lonnie leaves, Xander comes in there. And Xander's like, alright, so what's been going on? Like, you know, I just talked to Susan, and, turned out it wasn't Susan. I mean, turned out it wasn't Susan, it was you. So Kristen seems like she's about to sit there and tell Xander the truth. But also, not really. She's stalling for time, you know? Because she got some plans in motion, but she is kind of stalling for time at this point because, you know, the van is going to be there soon, and she needs to stall as long as she can to have them bust her out of prison. I mean, to bust them out of, you know, jail and stuff. So she stalls long enough, and it almost looked like she's about to sit there and tell Xander the truth as far as Sarah and stuff like that. But Gwen gets in there, and, you know, Kristen stops, and, you know, Rafe escorts her to the guards or whatever, and then the guards pretty much just say, alright, well, where do you want to go next? Where do you want to go, Miss Kristen? Or Miss Tamara? So, once again, she escaped. You know, I'm not going to lie. I guess this is... in a way, it kind of worked out. Kristen had to be caught. Because if Kristen didn't get caught, Justin and Xander and Bonnie and Gwen were all going to jail. So, Kristen had to get caught. But she's Kristen. She's a good villain. And we can't have her locked down for too long. So, in a lot of ways, her busting out and the plan that it took to actually get her out, it works. It really does work. And I'm with it. Now, Abe comes over, you know, Lonnie and Eli's place to sit there and try to look for Lonnie. Runs into Abe. Runs into Eli. And, you know, Eli's like, listen, you're going to be the godfather of my child. Like, regardless, blood or no blood, you're going to be... And that's the same thing, ironically, that Kristen said. You know, when Lonnie was like, you know, he's not really my dad and stuff like that, like, biologically. And, you know, Kristen was like, regardless, if blood or not, like, that's your dad, you know? And she says, take it from someone who was adopted. Like, that's my family, regardless. So, that's the same thing that Eli says to Abe. So they're talking for a little bit. I think Eli brings down one of the twins to kind of just make Abe feel a little bit better. You know? He also talked about Chanel, and you know, a lot of people aren't really happy with Chanel as far as the way she chose to go about you know, just blurting it out to everyone in the church. Now, yeah, no, it had a lot to do with, you know, the possession and the devil and stuff like that, but, I mean, they don't know that at that point in time, so, you know, they're just upset with Chanel and thinking that this is another one of Chanel's, you know, things that she does, because, you know, why not at this point? Now, just as he's about to leave, just as Abe is about to leave, he does run into Lonnie. So I guess they're gonna have that talk after all. The talk that Lonnie's been ducking for probably a couple of days, / maybe about a week or two. I'm not gonna lie, I think that's about it, more or less. If I forgot anything, please write it down in the comment section below. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.